19 red flags while picking a therapist. Our TV, cinema, and popular culture can make therapy look funny sometimes. Sometimes it can look vengeful, whatever. But therapy is serious business. And if you are considering therapy for yourself or for someone you love, there are some things that you should be aware of before you make that final decision. Obviously, the more you speak to people, the more you're gonna get to know them, and the better it will be for your final decision. But overall, there are few things that you should be on the lookout for. So in this video, you're gonna find out those 19 red flags while picking a therapist that can influence and should influence your decision. Keep watching. So the first one is very obvious, that they should have sufficient training. If they are not clinically certified, then there's a biggest red flag ever. Next, they'll try to be your friend. This is a red flag because a real professional person knows that a therapist is someone different and a friend is someone different, so they wouldn't cross that boundary. Then they may seem overly affected by your personal problems, which is again what I said about the friends thing, that you will see that they are reacting not in a professional way to your personal problems. Red flag. They will habitually miss or cancel your sessions or come too late. This is about punctuality, and this might affect the consistency of your treatment. So look out for that one. That defines unprofessional therapist, like right out there. Next, if there's any romantic attraction from any side, whether you feel that attraction towards them or whether you feel that they are trying to hit on you, that is a red flag, because when things go in that area, then there is absolutely no treatment going on there. Things will take a completely different turn if that's happening. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Next, they push you too much. So when you're taking therapy, you're obviously going to be disclosing a lot of facts about your life, things that you wouldn't have disclosed to anyone else before maybe. And the job of a therapist is to not make you uncomfortable to get those truths out. You should be the one willing to share those things with the therapist. If you are not willing to share and they are asking too much or putting too much pressure on you, then that's a big red flag. Next, you feel judged, shamed, or unsafe. This happens a lot, especially with women, when they are talking about sexual assault or child abuse or things like that. When they disclose things like that, the therapist's reactions and the way the therapist deals with it has a lot to do with this red flag. Because if they're trying to shame you or blame you into thinking that you're the one responsible for your domestic abuse or sexual assault and things like that, then that's a huge red flag. Then absolutely this is not the person to go to. Next, they don't specialize in your issues. So with therapy, like every other field, there are specialists and there are like majors in the field. So if you want to talk about childhood issues and someone is an excellent therapist with divorce issues, then this person may not be the right one. Try to pick someone as close as possible to your issues. Then you feel like you're getting nowhere. So another red flag could be you can talk to them as much as you want, but you feel like you're going around in circles because the conversation is not going anywhere. Another red flag, you don't trust them. You feel that any information that you give to them could go out, or they could use it against you or whatever. So that is a big red flag. Another red flag, you don't feel listened to. So when you're sharing a lot of your painful experiences or details, they are not paying attention to it, or they are just hearing it out in some way, but you feel like you're talking to a wall, you're not getting attention, and that's a red flag. Another red flag is that they overshare. They tell you details about their own life which they shouldn't be telling. So if they are telling you details from their life, secrets or confidential things, then that's a big red flag. Professional people wouldn't do that. Next, they make you feel inferior. They condescend you, they patronize you, they look down upon you. Listening to a therapist shouldn't be like going to a pastor or a imam or someone, priest or something else like that. They are not supposed to preach things to you. That is not what a therapist's role is. And if a therapist is doing that, then that's a big red flag, because a pastor is a pastor, a therapist is not a pastor, and vice versa. That can never be. So that's a big red flag. Another red flag, they talk over you, which means when you're trying to explain something, they would ignore your point and they keep talking over you. So they put kind of like words in your mouth. That's another red flag. Another red flag, you leave each session feeling very disappointed. Somehow that could be because you didn't feel heard, or they undervalued you, or for some reason you're not feeling that you're going anywhere with this therapy. So you are disappointed in one way or another. This is a huge red flag. Another red flag, they don't respond actively. So whether you are in one room with them or you are texting them or calling them, a professional therapist would be able to respond to you during office hours. And if they have given you their emergency contact, then yes, in emergency as well. And if they are not keeping their part of the deal, then that is a huge red flag. Another red flag, they dodge your questions. So while you are in therapy, there is obviously a point that you're going to have a lot of questions to ask. You would have explanations or clarifications that you need. And if they are dodging your questions, they are not giving you straight one-to-one answers for these, that means they are unprofessional and it's a red flag. Next red flag, there just isn't a rapport between you two. There is no chemistry, which means, and by chemistry, I don't mean romantic chemistry. I mean, you are speaking to someone who's not able to empathize with you, who's not able to understand you. There's no common ground anywhere. So why would you ever want to speak to someone like that? And the last one is that they ignore confidentiality. So the things that you have told them, or your details that they have, for example, the audio clips or your file, those things are not safe with them, and they have somehow ignored that confidentiality and shared your details with someone that they shouldn't have. It could be even with a family member. So if you are seeing therapist and you are unsure if you want to tell your spouse about it, if your therapist has spoken to your spouse behind your back, that is a huge red flag, because that means that they are ignoring confidentiality, and you would never want to be a patient of someone who doesn't respect confidentiality, right? So these were some very brief red flags that you should be on the lookout for when you're hunting for a good therapist, because therapy is something that is a long-term relationship, if you ask me, because therapy is not a magic pill that you go to a therapist one day and next day you walk out cured. Therapy obviously takes time and consistency, and for such a long time you wouldn't want to deal with someone unprofessional who's not trained enough, who doesn't know how to handle your case, who's not an expert in your particular area of trouble. So these are the things that you should be on the lookout for. If you have any more questions about any of these things, you can watch out the other videos on my channel. You can give this a thumbs up if you like the content, and please subscribe for more videos on topics like this. Peace out.